welcome to today's episode of Ringside. Right now, we're going to talk about our reactions from Forbidden Door this past weekend. You can check this out right now on Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I am Pierre, and of course, I'm with the crew, the short crew this week with Clint and Curtis. Shout out to our partner, Nuxie, Jonathan. Hope you get better, bro. See you on the next broadcast. So, fellas, we're going to talk a little bit about our reactions from what happened at Forbidden Door. Very interesting card, and given some of the things we found out after the fact, I think it put that card in a higher regard than maybe when we initially looked at it. So, let's talk about some of the things you liked and disliked about what happened at Forbidden Door.
Curtis, you want to go first?
Yeah. At first, I was going to rip apart the finish to Bryan Danielson and Okada, but after learning that he had a broken forearm during the match and went 20 minutes afterwards, I'm like, oh no, I can't rip this apart.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Okada and Danielson wasn't a bad match. It wasn't even a boring match. It just was, and I said it when we were watching it was a Tokyo Dome match. Had it been Tokyo Dome, there would have been a different aura, a different respect for the match. Plus, it was the end of the night. The crowd was tired. It followed Ospreay and Omega, which I think it should not have. I think that had we swapped those two matches, had we put Danielson and Okada where Ospreay and Omega were and vice versa, we'd be saying something completely different about this show. I do have a lot more respect for Danielson, you know, even much more than I did before, after learning that he wrestled that match with a broken freaking forearm, you know, so that whole not being able to use his arm thing was legit. I hope he heals up soon, but it was not a bad match. It was a wrestler's match.
It was a wrestling clip.
Yeah, it was pure wrestling. Ospreay and Omega was pure action. Two different kinds of matches. You got a revenge story and you got a wrestling match to see who's the better wrestler. Those are the stories being told.
Yeah, and it kind of
Go ahead.
Yeah, so and that kind of goes back to what I was saying. It's hard to do anything with a broken forearm, let alone for 20 minutes. So kudos to Bryan Danielson for gutting it out the way he did, showing that toughness that we've known him for. And like you said, it was a wrestling clinic. It was a good technical match. At first, I didn't like the finish, but considering that, I can understand why they
had to kind of rush that finish. And you know what? Watching that match, we couldn't even tell Danielson was hurt. We thought he was selling. You know, there are moments, you know, when you're watching a wrestling match, you can tell sometimes, oh, that move was botched or he got hurt. There wasn't any of that. We thought he was selling because, you know, he just kept working through it. And, you know, and then we found out, no, that was legit. So, wow. But overall, a great show. You know, it had a few low points, but, you know, it surprised me in a lot of ways, especially with the 10-man tag. I was not expecting to be interested in another BCC elite match with Eddie Kingston and all that. That was actually one of the better matches of the night and told a great story. So
it really did. Go ahead.
And that was just simply a fun match to watch.
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, what can we say about Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay that hasn't been said already? That was just it was just nonstop action. You didn't know where it was going to go, who was going to get over. And even like right at the final 3 count, you couldn't figure it out. But man, that was just an incredible match. And
absolutely.
And I really hate that Adam Cole couldn't go because of an injury, because of his illness. Again, hope he gets well soon.
Yeah, that would have been a good match too. I'm hoping we get to see that at Wembley, maybe.
And I was actually impressed by the women's match. That was actually better than I thought it was going to be. And Willow definitely showed out. I didn't expect her to win, but she definitely put on a really good performance.
Absolutely.
She did, and I thought that a match that had a potential to steal the show, but given what happened between Ospreay and Omega and even and Danielson was the four-way for the international.
Now let's not say it didn't steal the show. That was a damn good match. That was an awesome match. It couldn't be Ospreay and Omega, but I would say up until that point, that was the match of the night.
It really was. It goes to show how well Orange Cassidy is really carrying the international that title.
Yeah.
At this point. And now, and of course, Zack Sabre Jr., I think him, I think he got more fans out of this match as well. You start to see the storyline that's unraveling as far as these the quote unquote mid card champions that are with the ROH TV title was the pure title, the ROH pure title and the IWGP TV title, and now you get Orange Cassidy in there. Those guys, I definitely see a triple threat going to happen at Wembley with those three alone. Now, Daniel Garcia did his part, of course.
Winner takes all.
I don't know about winner take all, but maybe.
I mean, it'll be easier. It'll be easier for the ROH and international title because Tony Khan owns both of them, but he's got to really work with New Japan about that TV title.
I think the TV title up is just that Zack Sabre Jr. is just because he's looking more like the heel in this situation.
Yeah.
Saw the end of the match. So I think if they were to go for that title, that would be cool, even though, because they tried to do a little something between Joe and Zack Sabre Jr. And who knows, maybe it'll be a night of a four-way. Well, now you will have both the TV titles.
Yeah, and you add Joe to that.
That's what I'm saying. You have a very good match.
You add Joe to the equation, your chances drastic go down.
Yeah. Now, one match I was really disappointed about was the Sting match, and it just seemed like it was just all over the place.
It seemed like it just fell apart. And that was one of those moments where we go, okay, did someone get hurt? Was Sting supposed to walk away from that table and didn't? What happened there? Did they have to rush it? What happened that match just fell apart, it seems, towards the end?
And what's interesting is there is a tag team match that's going to happen on Dynamite with Jericho and Sammy Guevara versus Sting and Darby Allin. So it wasn't one of those four guys. So it had to have been the IWGP guy. So was there an injury that nobody talked about?
Possibly. I mean, something went wrong somewhere, and I'm surprised I haven't heard about it in the dirt sheets. Maybe we will within the next few days or so, because the whole story has pretty much been on Danielson's injury. So maybe something will come to light. But yeah, that was, I would say, maybe the low point of the night. And considering who was in that match, I wouldn't have bet that would have been it.
I wouldn't have either, but it just seemed like from even Tony Schiavone's botching of his Sting intro, he waited. It was like Naito's already doing his entrance. You're doing it's Sting. Sting is already in the ring.
Like, dude, you missed
already in the ring. Did
you go to the bathroom and come back and miss Sting coming out?
My goodness,
it feels like.
It just felt like from that point something was off, and you got that vibe, and then it just seemed like it just fell apart from that point. And I would have called you crazy if you told me in advance that that's what was going to happen.
Well,
Schiavone did have the line of the night, though. Schiavone did have the line of the night, though. Tony, what are they saying? Holy shiznit.
Shiznit.
Seems like the kind of thing JR would say. They set him up, but I kind of like the petty finish there.
No, you talk about petty. MJF Ring Road. New Japan is an indie. Man, that was hilarious. That was so funny.
Nobody's better than trolling than MJF.
Oh my gosh. Man, and they went about that match first, and it was nicely done. Of course, his opponent had bad knees, but Tanahashi
was moving a lot slower in that match. I think that was the only downside. but they made up for it. I think, MJF working with them, kind of hid that. So that also shows, how good MJF is as well.
Yeah.
Well, what
And
do you guys think about the? Go ahead, Curtis. I'm sorry.
yeah, so but basically I was just gonna say that just kind of shows that sometimes in a match you just gotta gut it, you just gotta grate your teeth and gut it out, and you just never know what these guys are going through on a
Yeah,
nightly basis.
exactly.
You know what's funny? Who we hadn't have mentioned at all?
Cool.
CM Punk.
Oh
CM
my
Punk match
goodness.
with Kojima. And he was there, and the match was okay. You see the little flirtation of being heel, but then he'll do something that seems more face like. So, and of course, another international crowd, more or less. Um,
So
I
my
mean,
question is he doing it for the crowd, or are
I
they
think
actually
he.
going in that direction?
I'm
I,
not even who's to say at this point because CM Punk does tend to go one direction, then he'll troll you, then go another direction. Sometimes he'll just play around with stuff just to kind of mess with some certain fans, not even necessarily the crowd at that show.
I think if they're smart, they're going to base it on future crowds. You got the Chicago crowd who's going to cheer CM Punk, even if he punts a baby into the crowd. You
Yeah,
got, the Montreal crowd, the Canada crowd who's going to, be unpredictable.
that's
You know,
Bizarro. Well,
so what kind of response is he going to get in Detroit? What kind of responses he's going to get in Atlanta? Or I want to see what response he's going to get going forward in other towns, and I think they'll base it on that. If he's getting heat there, then turn him heel. He's a better heel than he is a face anyway.
And I would actually like it. Yeah, like you stated, Clint. I would actually like if he just go ahead and went full on heel because
Yeah,
my thoughts are already. I already think he's an asshole. So why not be an asshole all the way around? And that's
exactly.
without him being in character. So.
and plus his any bit of him being a face so far in AEW just seems forced, and I'm just not sold on it at all.
Well, with this second run, yeah, especially after Brawl Out and that whole thing, yeah, it doesn't have the magic that his first run had in AEW.
Let me ask you guys something, and this may be a bit of a take. What do you think about some of the older IWGP guys actually being put in some of these singles matches, where some of the younger ones were actually in the like the 10-man tag and like the 4-way? Because Tanahashi had bad knees, then you had a couple of other older. I mean, Kojima looked good in his match versus Punk, but it seemed like there was a lot of older IWGP guys, guys who have been around for years. I'm saying, so what do you guys think about that?
Well, here's the thing. It's the name value. These are known names. Yeah, Tanahashi couldn't move like he normally would. He has bad knees. He probably should not have been wrestling a singles match, especially a big opener like that. But on the other hand, it's Tanahashi. How can you not put him in a big match? So, you have to kind of balance it out. The fans are going to get mad if you don't put him in a big match. Why didn't he get to wrestle MJF or Sting, whoever, and then when you see it, it's he shouldn't have wrestled. You're not going to please the fans either way, but I mean, Tony and the New Japan bookers were trying to do the best they could. I can see that, trying to please the fans, trying to create the closest thing to dream matches as possible. Sometimes it just doesn't work out.
I agree, and it could be a multitude of things. There may be some factors that we probably hadn't even thought about that we probably don't even know because a lot of times, especially when it comes to a pay per view, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, you don't always know the whole story. It could come down to probably like 2 months before we learn, oh, such and such probably did this, or he for whatever reason he couldn't make it. He no showed, or he didn't come to the show. I mean, it could be anything, but again, you have to have the name value, like Clinton said, and you have to balance so many things out. But of course, and this is to Clint's point. No matter what you do, you can't please everybody.
I think they try to hide it where they can. For example, If you remember in the 6-man tag, there was a moment where Sting and Suzuki were face to face, and they were going to go at it, but then Jericho's on the apron saying, "Tag me, tag me." I think that was their way of trying to hide, his shortcomings there, because Suzuki is a murderous badass, but he's also 100 years old and can't do the things he used to do. So, let's not have Murder Grandpa in the ring 1-on-1 with Sting just at this moment. Let's tease it, but then let's put Jericho in there who can still go.
Sting, who, by the way, is no spring chicken himself, but I will give Suzuki credit. When he did the pose with Jericho's Guevara, that was pretty funny. I will give him that.
That was hilarious. That was hilarious. So overall, fellas, matter of fact, let me go ahead and introduce our new rating system. If we like something, we're going to give it the what? The too sweet. And we don't like it, we got to give it the Batista thumbs down. So fellas, overall, what do you think about Forbidden Door as a whole? As far as the card from top to bottom, all the matches.
As a whole, too sweet.
You have a Kenny Omega match that goes 40 minutes. That's a warm-up for him. And he did what he did. Too sweet. Come on.
That wasn't an Omega match. That was a New Japan badass fight. That's what that was. That was match of the year.
Yes.
WWE, Money in the Bank, what you going to do? Match of the year.
And I don't want to disrespect this match because he's been in some classics, some 60-minute, 70-minute matches. But this was a warm-up in comparison as far as time, but he's going to give you everything.
Yeah, hell of a match.
So I'm definitely giving it a too sweet myself. But here's one last question, fellas, before we move on. Do you think this moves Ospreay into possibly the top 3 best wrestlers in the world based on the match he had with Omega?
So Danielson, Okada, and Ospreay? That's a very good question because you have to. That's implying that Omega's Omega's not in the top 3. Man,
that's tough. That's tough.
Zack Sabre Jr. Man, it's when you put just among those 4 guys, it's hard to choose a top 3. Is he in the top 3?
Ospreay was already top 5 already before, or just on the cusp, like he may have been number 6.
If he wasn't, he is now. I would say top 5, yes. Top 3, I had to put some thought into that, but definitely top 5.
Definitely a top 5. That's gonna be that's the one. It's almost like pulling teeth to have to pick a top 3 between those guys. And they're going to give you everything they have. They're going to give you a show. And every time they perform, you're not going to walk away thinking they didn't try.
Honestly, I know it's going to sound like they're copying, but if you're going to have a best in the world tournament, you can't go wrong having those 5 guys and maybe add in one more person to truly determine who's the best in the world.
And it ain't Punk.
It ain't Punk. It damn sure ain't Punk.
No.
It ain't Punk whatsoever. So you guys tell us, what did you guys think about Forbidden Door? Is it too sweet, or do you get a thumbs down? No, be sure to share this video, like, subscribe, comment, and also hit that notification bell as always, just so you'll know when we're uploading new information. And of course, you can reach us on Instagram at where at, Clint?
At Ringside right now on Instagram.
On Instagram, that's right. So for the crew, as always, Clinton, Curtis, I am Pierre, and remember, even though Forbidden Door just passed, our door is always open right here at Ringside right now. Let's ring the bell, fellas. Yeah.